Well, hey there, and welcome back to Viewpoint Christian Academy for yet another Monday Moment. Today is March 14th, 2022 for this Monday Moment. 3/14, it's Pi Day. On Pi Day, what else can you talk about except for math? So on this Monday Moment, it's going to be a special Math Monday Moment. Stay tuned as we get ready to talk about some math. Again, I'm Dr. Adam Rondo from Viewpoint Christian Academy, where we are all about empowering parents for Christian education. Stay tuned as we talk about the most blessed of all subjects. That's right, math. Here we go. So over the years, I have taken to the habit of saying that math is the most blessed of all subjects. And why do I say that? Well, because I have found that there is more math anxiety than just about any other subject that is out there. More students get anxious about math and doing their math assignments and learning new things in math than any other thing. But you know what's even worse than students getting anxious? I find that parents get more anxious about math even than the students sometimes, because they're afraid, oh no, am I going to have to help this child with the math? I was horrible at math. I don't want my child to be horrible at math, but I don't know if I can help my child, all these kind of things, right? So I understand that there's a lot of anxiety around math. I just want to encourage everybody today with this thought that you most certainly can do your math. You can help your child with their math. And even if you're not a math expert, maybe you didn't get very far in math, you can still take some really practical steps to help your child to have a solid mathematics foundation in their life. So I'm going to go over just a few things, 3 things today to help you, and 3 key concepts. And they're kind of span the spectrum of math from kindergarten all the way up through to algebra and geometry, etc. So today I want to talk to you about 3 things. So let's dive right into those 3. But let me go over a few things with you real quickly about how you can help build a strong math foundation in the life of your child. And how can you do that? Well, the first thing I want to talk to you about are the 4 math operations. There are 4 operations in math. Very simple, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's really important that math students become familiar with that. In fact, by the time students are in 3rd and 4th grade, they have been introduced to all 4 of these concepts and are expected to be able to master those concepts. For instance, by the time they're completed with 1st and 2nd grade, we want them to have really strong adding and subtracting skills. And how do we do that? Well, ideally, we want them to be able to memorize their adding and subtraction facts, their basic ones, so that if you say, what's 5 take away 3, they can immediately spit out 2 because they know it. Or if you say, what's 9 plus 7, they can immediately say 16 because they know it. And we want them to have a basic understanding of that. Well, how can that happen? Well, the addition process of learning how to add, a lot of times we'll start with the fingers, or they'll do the ruler, etc., so on and so forth. But ultimately, maturity requires, we don't want a 16-year-old counting on their fingers, right? Maturity requires that they become so familiar through repetition with these facts that they are able to memorize them and spit them out. Now, how does that happen? It actually takes hard work. There is no easy way to do it. Some people are like, I have found the magic app that will help me to do it. Well, maybe so, but they would have to dedicate a lot of time playing the game. I've actually used some really effective apps. I have one son who learned his adding, subtracting, and multiplication, division facts just by going through this game, and he learned them before he was even supposed to because he would just love to play the game. However, a lot of times what you really just need to do is take those good old flashcards and do that repetition over and over and over and over again, pages of adding and subtracting, etc., until it's committed to memory. There's no easy way around that. It does require work, but if you put in the work in younger ages like 5, 6, 7, 8, to get those adding and subtracting skills down really solid, it's going to create in that child an ability to be a strong math student. Because again, they're going to get frustrated if they have problems where they have to use their fingers all the time, or they're having to follow on a ruler and count them out. So they've got to commit them to memory really important that you put in the time and put in the effort to death. So if they can become strong adding and subtracting, then you move on in the 3rd and 4th grade, right? By the end of 2nd grade, you got this down. Now in the 3rd and 4th grade, you start moving on to those multiplication and division facts and really committing those to memory. How can you do that? Well, students need to be able to see the idea and the concept of a number family. I got a couple of number families up on the board here. I want to just show you how this works. They need to see the connection in the number families. 5, 2, and 7. Those numbers will always go together. They need to be able to identify that. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 take away 2 is 5. Or you could also go, another way to do it, 7 take away 5 is 2. But these numbers can always go, or you can, follow what we call the commutative property, meaning the order doesn't matter. 2 plus 5 is 7 is the same as 5 plus 2 equals 7. That applies for adding and subtracting. You can switch the order and it doesn't change the final answer when you add or subtract. But these are families, and they work that way. And there's families in multiplication and division as well. 4 times 3 equals 12. Or 3 times 4 equals 12, right? But you can also go 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Again, you got the same numbers, just working in tandem there. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. It works out the same way. You've got these families of connections. That can help the student to see those connections and to bring them together and help lock down those facts. Now, another thing that's going to happen if the child is able to identify number families is that going forward in algebra, they're going to be asked to do something called the inverse operation. Well, what does that mean? Well, they're going to have a problem that'll say something along the lines of 2 plus x equals 15, right? What's going on here? 2 plus x equals 15. Well, they're going to be asked to follow that inverse operation pattern and essentially take this family and go x equals 15 minus 2 so that x equals 13. And that's how they're going to find the answer. They're going to use this idea of a number family and the concept of inverse operations to put together to find unknown variables. But again, where does that start? That starts in the beginning with these 4 operations. If a child is strong in adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing with those facts, they will have a good foundation for success in math as they move forward. So let me just encourage you with that today. The second thing I want to talk about is the importance of understanding place value. Now, as we get to this point too, I want to state that all of the students at Viewpoint have been given a student handbook. And in this student handbook, there are 2 pages full of math tips and tricks. And also, we are adding a lot of student help videos to our YouTube page. Lots and lots of different things that are being added there, not only for math, but also for some science concepts like meiosis, mitosis. We've got one there in regards to genetics and Punnett squares. We've got some for language arts concepts, dictionaries and accents and all these different kinds of things. So really become familiar with that. But in the student handbook, check those videos out when you get the chance. But in the student handbook, there is a place value chart that's a really, really helpful reference tool. Place value is an important concept for students to understand. I want to look at this number here that I have written down here in orange. 256,781 and, the decimal point there, 406 thousandths. So it's really important that students understand that there is a place, because when they get into other concepts like long multiplication, long division, or adding money together, etc., so on and so forth, they're going to have to understand place value and the decimal point and the importance that it plays. It is vital that students memorize these place values. It's important that they understand when there's a decimal, the number immediately to the right is the tenths place. And I want you to notice it ends with the thus. All of these to the right of the decimal place end in THS. They're thus. It's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. As opposed to on the left side of the decimal place, it ends in S. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, then it continues to million, 10 million, 100 million, billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, trillion, 10 trillion, 100 trillion, etc., so on and so forth. But the pattern keeps going. But I want you to, they have to understand and memorize these patterns and understand the commas come at the third. After every three, we go ones, tens, hundreds, ones, tens, hundreds, or thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, right? So we go ones, tens, hundreds, kind of repeating that pattern. It's very important to be able to understand that so that they can align numbers appropriately. One of the greatest tools that you can get a student, if they're struggling with aligning their numbers, is graph paper. It's just paper that's written in grid like this, and it makes it much easier for the child to write in the numbers. You can buy them in half-inch blocks. We have 2 or 3 books in our house that our boys use for math all the time. They're constantly using those because it's easier for them to make sure they align things up properly. It is so important you understand place values and how to identify them, because a lot of times one of the concepts that is covered in math is going to be the idea of rounding. If it says round to the thousands place, and you're looking at this number, you need to instantly be able to say that is the thousands place, because I know thousands place is 4 places after the decimal. Again, I can also reference my handy-dandy student handbook and see, oh yeah, that's right. Until it's memorized, keep referencing. Over time, more repetition and more practice, you get the idea, right? Here it is. Oh, okay, round to this. Then when I'm rounding, I look, okay, the next number is 5. The number before it is 5 or greater, so therefore this becomes a 7. So I'd round this to 257,000 if I'm rounding. But in order to round properly, I have to understand place value. To do Roman numerals, you need to understand place value. Hey, let's jump back here real quick for 1 second, and I'll get back on the camera here. But this adding thing, that's really important for military time. You know, a lot of places and a lot of things operate on military time. If you're in the PM hour, all you have to do is add 12 to the number. Let's say it's 3 p.m. Well, 3 plus 12 is 15. You're now at military time, 1,500 hours. 3 p.m. Oh, let's say it's 4 p.m. 4 plus 12 is 1,600 hours. It's 1 p.m. It is now 12, well, 1 plus 12 is 1,300 hours. And so you can do that. So again, how do you make that quick conversion? Well, you can add quickly. You have to be able to do those processes quickly and fulfill that. Okay, one last thing, and then we're done with this wonderful Monday moment. The last important thing I want to emphasize, not only is it so important to know the operations and understand the number families connected to them, place value is huge. Following the steps is the next really big thing. Students run into trouble in their math more than any other thing. They can be great at this, they can understand this, but if they don't remember that they have to follow the steps, then they're going to make mistakes and things will be wrong, because math is very orderly. And if you don't follow a step exactly the way it's supposed to be, everything else gets thrown off. When you're doing multiplication, there are steps to the multiplication. 8 times 5. So, you know, let's do this real quick, okay? Here we got 18 times 25. Well, the step is first you go 8 times 5 is 40. You carry the 4 and put the 0 here. Then you take 5 times 1. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. Now to start the next line, students have to remember, oh, I have to do it with a 0. That's the next step. You put a placeholder there. Then you go 2 times 8 is 16. I'm not writing very well here, I apologize. Again, you carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 1 that you carried is 3. Then you get to do some adding. So we're going to go 0 plus 0 is 0. 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 450 is the answer to that question. But I had to follow every step. If I didn't follow the steps correctly, if I didn't do all the things I was supposed to, it would be totally wrong. And it wouldn't be right at all. You can't even get partial credit for an answer in this regard because it's just wrong. So it's vitally important. Then, of course, there is the division. 5-step division process. 4 or 5-step division process, right? And I always write it out in this way. First you divide, then you multiply, then you subtract, then you bring down the next number. So following these 4 steps, I know it looks more like a sad face, right? I divide. 3 doesn't go into 2, but it goes into 21. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 times 3 is 21. I'll subtract, bring down the next number, and follow the steps again in that order. Again, I don't want to give a whole math lesson here, but if you don't follow the steps, it doesn't come out right. Also in the student handbook is a picture of PEMDAS, the order of operations. And students must follow the order of operations in order to arrive at the correct answer. If they don't, it'll be wrong. So take those 3 things to heart on this wonderful Pi Day. And as you think about math, the most blessed of all subjects, remember the 4 operations in the number families. Remember place value and its importance. And don't forget, follow the formulas. Follow the steps. PEMDAS, the order of operations. Hey, I hope that's been a little bit of help to you. Hope I haven't droned on too much. As you can tell, I like math. I think it's wonderful. I love it. I enjoy it. Some have said math is the language of God that he used in creating the universe. Huh? I don't know about that, but I think it's pretty fantastic. It's an awesome creation of God. The logic that God has given to us that we can in turn utilize in solving problems in our world. It's amazing. Hey, hope you have a blessed day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, tell other people about it. If you haven't already subscribed, do so. Take care.